Hesh Sagafi, Liberty Home Mortgage. And what are we talking about today? We are talking about bankruptcy, okay? I've given my story 1,000 times over. Watch all my videos on my YouTube page. I've got over 400 or 500 videos on my YouTube page. I've told the story 1,000 times over. I almost went bankrupt twice in my business career, so trust me. If you're facing it, it's not bad. I faced it twice. If you're doing it, still not bad. It's a financial vehicle to use. I didn't go bankrupt, but I worked the debt off. Was not easy, I can tell you that one. So we're talking about bankruptcy. So you want to buy a house and you had a bankruptcy. First, let's cover this. There's 2 bankruptcies in the mortgage industry we care about. Chapter 7, Chapter 13. If you're a loan officer, take notes on this stuff, okay? Chapter 7 means that you walk from all of the debt, okay? I don't repay any of the debt. That's it. That's a Chapter 7, okay? Chapter 13, you go into, it's a restructuring of the debt. You repay the debt. You go on a payment plan, okay? Typically, Chapter 13 bankruptcies come in different time periods to pay it back. There's a 3-year period and a 5-year period on a Chapter 13. Let's just focus on the Chapter 7 for right now. That's typically the one we probably deal with somewhat the most, but again, there's 13s out there too, but let's stay on the 7 for a little bit, okay? Ultimately, when you file for a bankruptcy, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, everything in your life goes into it. When the bankruptcy is discharged, now what does that mean when they say the bankruptcy is discharged? Discharged means you have an official court order that stops all collection efforts from all creditors. That means everybody you owe money to has to stop bothering you to collect their money. Here's the key with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Chapter 7 bankruptcy does not pay off the debt, okay? It doesn't pay off the debt. That's super important for people that own houses. If you own a house, a lot of people say, Hesh, my house was in the bankruptcy, I don't owe the money, they paid off the mortgage. No, they didn't. What the Chapter 7 does is it extinguishes your obligation to repay the debt. You no longer are obligated to the debt. In other words, when I signed for my Citibank credit card, I signed a contract that if I borrow money, I agree to pay it back. When I put that into a Chapter 7 bankruptcy and the bankruptcy is discharged, you want to know something? The bankruptcy basically eliminates that contract, that previously agreed upon contract, such that I'm no longer obligated to pay them back. Now, here's something for you. Can I pay them back? I could. I could pay them if I choose. I just don't have to. Another thing is there's something called a reaffirmation of debt, okay? People do this a lot of times with cars. Their car goes into the bankruptcy, and I get a lot of people say, Hesh, I'm gonna pick and choose what goes in. You don't pick and choose what goes in. You pick and choose what comes out of the bankruptcy, but it's not you picking and choosing. It has to be agreed upon. The creditor, the judge, magistrate, they have to agree that you can afford this debt and to re-obligate yourself to it again. So what a lot of people do with cars is they put their car into the bankruptcy. Well, I shouldn't say they put their car. You file bankruptcy, everything's in. They look and say, hey, wait, I can afford that car. So they take the car out of the bankruptcy. That's called a reaffirmation, and then I'm re-obligated to the debt. They leave everything else in the bankruptcy. When that bankruptcy is discharged, Chapter 7, for a VA loan, if you're in the military, we're in the military, you want to go VA, you have to wait 2 years from the discharge of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy to get a mortgage loan. If you're going FHA, you have to wait 2 years from the discharge of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy before you can qualify for a mortgage. If you're going conventional, you have to wait 4 years from the discharge of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy to get qualified. And if you're going USDA, you have to wait 3 years from the discharge of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in order to qualify. So from the date that it's discharged, there's a waiting period. So you got to understand there's a waiting period. That waiting period is a certain amount of time. You have to wait that amount of time. Now, what should you do while you are waiting? Here's 3 things to do. Number 1, get copies of all 3 credit bureaus. Number 1, first thing, get copies of all 3 reports to make sure everything that was in the bankruptcy is properly reporting that it's discharged, the balances are all 0. It didn't pay off the debt. They just have to stop reporting. They can no longer report that you owe them money. Keep that one in mind. That's the first thing, get copies of all 3 credit bureaus. Second thing you do, open up and establish new credit. I would say to open up 2 or 3 credit cards. The truth is, especially after Chapter 7, you should get bombarded by pre-approved credit card offers. And the reason the credit card companies come crawling out of the woodwork is because they know you can't put them into a bankruptcy again, or not anytime soon at least. So open up 2 or 3 or 4 credit cards. Now notice, go to the gas station, use it at the gas station, stop using it the rest of the month. Use it at the grocery store, use it at a couple places, pay it off immediately. Do not carry balances. Don't carry balances. Debt is bad. Interest is poison, okay? Don't do it, okay? Charge it at the gas station, you're done with it. Pay it off immediately, charge it the next month, leave it there. So the second thing is open up a few credit card accounts to start establishing credit. I've had people say, Hesh, I'm gonna go buy a car. No, don't. Why would you take out debt, okay? Why take out debt to reestablish credit? That's the second thing. The third thing you do, this is big, set your credit cards and bills up on auto pay. You wanna make sure you went bankrupt, okay, fine. I look at bankruptcy as just a financial vehicle that people use or that's available to them to get themselves out of a bad situation. You went bankrupt. After your bankruptcy, don't go late again on your bills. Don't go get your car repoed again. Pay attention to your financial picture. Use it as a learning lesson to say, I'm not gonna make those decisions again. I'm gonna be much more controlled with my debt, how I spend money, how I do things. I'm gonna start making sacrifices that I didn't make before or cutting out expenses that were not necessary before. Set up your bills on auto pay. You do not want to go late on your bills after your bankruptcy, okay? When you do, you just throw yourself right back into the pit of hell and you'll be stuck there for eternity, okay? So those are the three things you really want to pay attention to. Get copies of your credit, open up new credit, set up everything up on auto pay, pay everything on time. Understand that there are waiting periods. This is my brief video on what bankruptcy is and how you can still buy a house even if you had bankruptcy in the past. There's other topics and videos I do that talk about bankruptcy with foreclosures and child support and student loans and 50 other things too. That's not this one. Make sure you're subscribing to my page, ask your questions, catch you on the next one.